Cloud Interview Questions, an initiative by CloudWati. So last week we saw different types of compute services that are available, different types of storage services that are available. So next we will be seeing the different types of network services. Before seeing the network services, we will take a step back and we will see what is a resource group, right? So whenever we create any resources like your VM or your database or storage account, any resource, it should by default present in a container or folder called resource group, right? So only within the each resources will have a resource group, and a resource group can have multiple resources. So the best example is if you just log into an Azure portal and if you just spin off a VM or create a VM, right? So when a VM, you are just clicking create button, but at the back end, it will create this resource group. It will create a network component. If the if we are allowing a HTTP connection, then it will create a public IP address, it will create a disk storage, it will create the VM machine, right? All these are individual components, right? Without a resource group, all these components will present individually, right? And the problem comes when we are actually moving this resources or moving this VM from one region to another region, probably for high availability purpose, or when you are actually moving it from one subscription to another subscription. Say currently you are working in a dev environment, this VM is created in a dev environment. Now if you want to promote the same VM to a QA environment or prod environment, in those cases we will move these resources completely from one subscription to another subscription, right? In all these portability cases, if we have the resources individually without having a common resource group, it would be very difficult. We may miss out any one of the components, so we will not be able to replicate the same resource that we have created in another region or another subscription. So to avoid this, so whenever a resource is created, we will put inside a container or we will put inside a folder or kind of a bag, right? So bag, right? So we'll put our resources inside the bag called resource group, right? So a resource group is generally a container or a folder. Just like within a folder, we'll have multiple files. Within this resource group, we can have different types of resources, right? That can hold the resources for Azure solution. Like it may be your VM, database, storage, any component. It must have any resource or workload must have a resource group. And these resource groups, like within that resource group, I can have resources from different regions, right? So I can have a VM which is located in India. I can have the disk storage probably in Europe, right? So I can have the resource group maybe in US, but I can have resources from different regions as well. But the important condition is all these resources must have a resource group, right? That would be a one-to-one mapping between your resource and the resource group. But the vice versa is not true. A resource group can have multiple resources as well. And the resource inside a resource group can be moved to different resource group or subscription, right? Each resource must have a resource group at any point in time, but the same resource can be moved from one resource to another resource group or from one subscription to another subscription. That is possible, right? So this is all about resource groups. So we are actually conducting a training covering all the fundamental certifications. And if you're interested, do reach out to us in this contact number. Thank you.